Hello class, today we are going to learn how to find the domain and range when given a function or a set of points. So if you look at your notes, look at this page that has domain at the very top. The domain contains the numbers or values called the inputs. So, which numbers are the domain? We have already learned that domain is x, so we should know these are the domain. Now look at your range. The range contains the numbers or values called the, probably guessed it, outputs, which, as you all know, which numbers are the range? Well, if x was the domain, we really only have one option. That would be the y's. Those are your outputs or your range. So, what is the domain and range of the function? We have to look at our points. Grab a pen. Look at our points. We have, if these represent 1, 2, and so on. Let's look at the point furthest to the left. We have -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to have -5, comma, 1, 2. And then this one, 1, 1. Here we have 3, 3. This one is 5, 4. And last we have 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 8. Now, if we look back at what our domain said, the domain was our inputs, our x values, which it's still checked off here, x values. So, if you can remember, which one of the x's here? X, y. So we're going to have -5, 1, 3, 5, and 6. And then for our range, we're going to have 2, 1, 3, 4, and 8. Now, one thing I want to notice right away, right here, as you can see, this isn't from least to greatest. That is fine, just as long as it makes sense to you, and I would prefer it if you would match it up with the domain that you have above. So -5 and 2, they go together because they're in the same ordered pair. 1 to 1, they go together. That is just my own preference, and that is what I would at least like you all to do for our class. Now, yesterday we learned about continuous and discrete functions. So is this graph represented continuous or discrete? And you should all know it is discrete because these are just points. You don't have the values such as 2. Moving on to our next example, we have y equals -2x plus x. What we're going to do is fill out the table and create the graph of the table. So, plug in x. I would like you all, whenever you do this, to make an xy table, but for me, I'm not going to do that. I am just going to write in the values. And we have negative 2 times negative 3, which is 6 plus 2, that's 8. We have 4, 2, negative 2, and finally we have negative 10. So before we graph it, let's write the domain and range. Negative 3, negative 1, 0, 2, and 6. For the range, we have 8, 4, 2, negative 2, and finally negative 10. Now, as we should know, these will come from ordered pairs. So we are going to graph this now. So we'll go to negative 3, 1, 2, 3, up 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This point right here. Then we have negative 1, 4, negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 2, 2, negative 2, and 6, 4, 5, 6, negative 10. Now, look right here. It's a y equals, it's a function. Is this continuous or is it discrete? Well, as you should know, anything that is y equals mx plus b should be continuous because it will include all the values between these points. As you can see, that what lies on our line is negative 2, 6, I believe. Yes, negative 2, 6 is included. So we have all these points on the line that is included in this. So therefore, it's continuous. It is not just points. It's an actual line that is not broken. Alright, moving on. This time we are given points on the graph, and then we're just going to fill out our table as well as our domain and range. So starting with our furthest point to the left, we have negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 7, negative 7. Then, next point, negative 4, 2. Next point, 2, negative 1. Then, 4, 2. And lastly, we have 7, 8. So, what's our domain and range? Negative 7, negative 4, 2, 4, 7. What is our range? Negative 7, 2, negative 1, 2, and 8. Sorry, that's a really bad squiggly bracket. Let me erase that. Okay, fix that. Ooh, what just happened? Okay. There we go, that's better. That's a bad one. That's okay. So, we have found our domain and range. We've filled out our table. And now, I want you all to do this one yourselves. So, pause the video, take a moment to write the ordered pairs, and then complete the table. Okay, I hope you have had enough time to complete the table and write out your ordered pairs, and they should look like mine. Moving on, we're gonna go to your notes section to domain and range, and we are going to put in what each word represents. Is it the domain or is it the range? So, inputs. As we learned earlier, from the earlier slides, the domain contains a number is called the inputs. So, inputs underneath domain, and we can check it, and it's good. Next, independent. This means which one is not affected by the other on the graph. Well, if we look at this one, our y equals -2x, which one is not being changed? As you see, the y is being affected by what the x is. So, whatever value the x is affects the y. However, the x is not affected by the y. So, it is like an x, independent, which we know is the domain. We can check, and it's good. Now, well, we have x values, and we just said that one. And let's see here. Outputs. Outputs, as we saw in the definitions at the beginning, the range contains the numbers or the values called the outputs. So that goes under range. Next, well, if the x values or the domain is dependent, then the range is probably, if the domain is independent, then the range is probably dependent, because it depends on what the x is. As you can see here, we had our x values right here, and our y depended on what the x equaled, so that we could find what the y actually was. So, our y values are also over here at the range. Now the number on the left, meaning in our ordered pair, like this one right here, is a domain or range. Well, as I wrote earlier, xy, number on the left then, will represent the x value, as well as this one, the 3 on the left. And then this will be 10, and finally, number on the right. And just to make sure we didn't get any wrong, good. So if you could copy this down, you can pause the video real quick if you need to copy it down, if you need more time. Otherwise, to move on, start your homework. The substitute will be handing out this worksheet to you all, and this will be due tomorrow. I'll see you all in class tomorrow. Have a nice day.